for one American soldier. He made his way down to that great boat, and once on deck, he was ushered into the presence of a man they called the Admiral of Her Majesty's fleet. He explained the principle, one soldier for one soldier. They deliberated, they thought, they questioned. Then Francis Scott Key heard what was music to his ears. They said, yes, sir, we will agree. We will take one prisoner off of this boat for every British soldier you now hold prisoner, whom you will give us in exchange. Francis Scott Key asked the Admiral if he could have the privilege of going down and telling the boys of their new freedom. They loosed a great huge board and they lowered Francis' ship. There he saw something he said he would never, ever forget. There in the dark caverns of that ship, chained to each other, every third one fastened to the floor, held in place, were young American boys. Most of them, he said, was broken in body. Some, he was sure, would not live out the night. He said, men, you're free. You're free to go home tonight. Tomorrow we're going to reunite you with your loved ones. You're free. Do you hear me? They looked at him with glazed eyes. Then they asked him a question which positively stymied him in his tracks. Mr. Key, are you telling us that you're going to just let us out of here to go home? Are we not allowed to still fight? Will they not let us fight? Listen, boys, you don't have to fight anymore. Your country can't ask any more of you. Look at the price that's made you heroes. Look at the price that you've paid. Go home. Let us make you heroes. Men, for you, the battle is over. The battle's done. But Mr. Key, you don't understand. For us, the battle is not over until the cause is won.
Yes.
Until we've secured what we've set out to do. Francis Scott Key was moved. He could believe the spirit of these boys. He made his way out of the inside of that ship. He found the Admiral and he said, sir, I beg of you, with God's speed, get these boys out of here. Get them out. Let's move quickly. Only now the Admiral's demeanor had changed. Mr. Key, the release of these boys isn't important anymore. It doesn't really matter what happens to them. Francis Scott Key, gripped with fear, said, what's the matter with you? Are you going back on your word? As a gentleman, you cannot go back on your promise to me. No, Mr. Key, I'm not going back on my word. But there's not going to be an America tomorrow. It's all over. What do you mean it's all over? Mr. Key, come over here. I want to show you something. And as they stood on the port side of that great ship, he said, tell me what you see. He said, well, I see America right over there. There's Fort McHenry and there's our flag. Now, Mr. Key, come over here and stand on the other side and tell me what you see. He said, I don't know, just a lot of water and sky and some tiny black specks. Mr. Key, those tiny black specks are the British fleet. With the wind at their back, they lie anchored here in this bay within a matter of 2 to 3 hours. My government, Mr. Key, has issued an ultimatum to your nation. This folly of independence is over. You are to be subject to Britain. Should you tonight not lay down those things you call the stars and stripes, that flag of rebellion, if it does not come down before the sun sets, it's our instructions with this fleet to remove Fort McHenry from the face of the earth. We'll literally blast it to the ground. Francis Scott Key said, now listen, you're out of your mind. There's nothing at Fort McHenry except that's of any interest to you. It's manned by civilians. No armament is there. All they keep is a lot of clothing and quartermaster's materials. Leave that fort alone. Mr. Key, tonight, sir, your flag comes down, or we will level that fort. Do you see the flag over there on the rampart, Mr. Key? If that flag comes down before the sun sets, we'll leave your nation be and you'll return to the fold of Great Britain. But if that flag continues to fly, sir, it means rebellion. It will mean that you decided not to honor reason and good sense, and we will blow you to the ground. Francis Scott Key stood there and watched the ships begin to come in. He tried to count them 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, and he realized he couldn't count them. Now he watched as the gunmen began to prepare the cannons. He watched as they brought out the sulfur cakes, the charges, the rams. He realized what an incredible amount of armament was there, and no nation on the face of earth had ever successfully withstood this British fleet. He goes down below and he sees the men inside the ship, the prisoners, and he tells them of what he's seen, the fact of what's to happen tonight, the fact that if the flag is not lowered, then Fort McHenry will be doomed. Mr. Key, you've got to do this for us. Somehow, you've got to tell them not to lower that flag. That flag cannot come down, Mr. Key. Listen, boys, don't you understand? If that flag doesn't come down tonight, you may never get out of here. You may rot and die in this ship. Don't you understand? Listen, Mr. Key, it doesn't matter what happens to us. What matters is what happens to that flag. That flag is our colors. That flag is what we have followed into the charge. That's the flag we buried our brothers in. That flag is America. Don't you understand? She's God-breathed, and you can't let them lower that flag tonight, Mr. Key, or all would have been in vain. Listen, Mr. Key, there's cracks in the decking up above us. And those of us who are not chained to the floor, we can stand and hear better. And would you please put your mouth to that decking and scream down to us? We can hear you, Mr. Key. We just got to know what's happening. Don't leave us down here tonight without knowing what's happening. Francis Scott Key went back where he could see the sailors of that fleet. He said all eyes were trained on that one flag. Everybody waited to see if somebody would go forward and bring that flag down, but it just furled in the wind, proud and strong. The darkness and the quiet settled completely over those ships. Suddenly, there was more noise than he had ever heard in his life.
Yes.
He realized he was hearing over 100 cannons in unison. He heard the orders. He heard the screams of the men as they moved to handle the hot metal. Load, round, charge, fire. He thought to himself, oh no, America is doomed. We're lost. What could stand against that? An hour, 10 minutes he stood waiting. Then he heard screams coming up from below his feet. Mr. Key, can you hear us?
Yeah.
You've got to tell us what's happening. He'd forgotten the prisoners. So he ran over and put his mouth to the decking. And he screamed, I can't see anything, man. It's dark out there. It's so much fire and noise, and I can't see. Listen, Mr. King, listen. Wait till those phosphorus bombs explode. We can hear them. Then you'll see a red glare, Mr. King, and you watch. Then you can see if the flag is still there. Francis Scott King looked up, and in a red glare, he saw the flag still streaming at the top. All through the night, they pounded that flag at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning with all of that army. The enemy waited for the dawn. As the dawn came, there stood our flag at the top. America had not followed. Mr. Key made his way quickly inside that great fort. Once inside, he said he saw no handful of dirt in its original place. Of all that huge armament that had literally torn that fort apart. Then he saw something that stirred his spirit. The flag on the rampart with all of that armament aimed at it had been hit over and over again. Because of the successive beating, it had dropped. And a patriot, a man whose name we'll never know, whose face we'll never see, ran from his place of safety, and he grabbed that flag, and with all of his might, he held on to it. Yes, he was killed, and the colors would have fallen, but another American boy came up and held on. He had praised and he the flag.
We're going to sing it in a minute.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
Yeah.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
Yeah.
And the home of the brave?
Yes. Yeah.